Welcome to the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video, where better sleep starts with better understanding. What if I told you that two of the most common health problems in the world, both pretty manageable on their own, can team up to create a perfect storm inside your body? It's a surprisingly dangerous combo that affects millions of people, and a lot of them don't even know it. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden danger. Okay, let's get right into it by meeting the two main players here. On one side, we've got Chronic Obstructive Pulmonary Disease, or COPD. This is a lung disease that makes it hard to breathe, and it mostly affects you while you're awake. And on the other side, we have Obstructive Sleep Apnea, or OSA. This is a sleep disorder where your airway literally collapses over and over again while you sleep, causing you to stop breathing. So think of it this way. One's a problem for your lungs during the day, the other's a problem for your airway at night. So what happens when these two conditions decide to move in together? Well, you get what doctors call the overlap syndrome. It's just the official term for when someone is dealing with both COPD and OSA at the exact same time. Now, you might be hearing this and thinking, okay, that sounds pretty rare. But it's really not. Not at all. It's estimated that overlap syndrome affects more than 1% of all adults. That might not sound like a lot, but that's millions upon millions of people. And as things like aging and obesity become more common around the world, that number is only going to go up. And that brings us to the real heart of the issue, doesn't it? I mean, if one condition messes with you during the day and the other one only at night, why on earth is having both of them together so much more dangerous? The answer is all about what happens to your body's oxygen the second you close your eyes and fall asleep. So let's take a closer look at what's really going on under the hood. We're going to see what happens to a person's oxygen levels during a sleep apnea event, first without COPD and then with it. All right, for someone who only has sleep apnea, the pattern is really predictable. When their airway closes off and they stop breathing, their blood oxygen level takes a dive. But then, as soon as they gasp and take a breath, boom, that oxygen level bounces right back up to normal. It's this cycle all night long. Dip and recover, dip and recover. But here's where everything changes. When a person with overlap syndrome stops breathing, their oxygen level drops. But because their lungs are already damaged from COPD, they just can't bounce back. The oxygen level never fully recovers. So with every new pause in breathing, it just gets dragged down lower and lower, creating this downward spiral. And that is the absolute crux of the problem. This failure to recover leads to a state of severe, long-lasting low blood oxygen, which is called hypoxemia. Instead of just brief dips, the body is basically starved for oxygen the entire night. And that puts this incredible, relentless strain on every organ, but it hits the heart especially hard. So, what does this actually mean for a person's health? Well, unfortunately, this constant lack of oxygen isn't just a number on a medical chart. It has a direct and frankly devastating impact on survival. So let's put some hard numbers on this. How much more dangerous is it to leave this condition untreated? The data is pretty startling. This chart really tells the whole story. A major study followed patients for more than 9 years. Now, people with just COPD had about a 76% survival rate. But for patients with untreated overlap syndrome, that number absolutely plummeted to just 58%. That's a massive drop. But here's the really incredible part. Look at the overlap patients who did get treated for their sleep apnea. Their survival rate shot right back up to 75%, basically erasing that extra risk entirely. And the research paper says it plain as day. The overall death rate for the untreated overlap group was nearly double that of the group with only COPD. It's a clear, significant, and frankly, terrifying danger. But as we just saw in that chart, there's a really powerful message of hope here. This isn't some mystery illness. It is highly identifiable and, most importantly, highly treatable. So, what's the game plan? The path forward is actually pretty clear. First, if you have COPD, you have to pay attention to the classic signs of sleep apnea. We're talking loud snoring, waking up gasping for air, or just feeling completely exhausted during the day even if you thought you slept enough. Second, you have to talk to your doctor about both problems. Help them connect the dots between your daytime breathing and what's happening at night. And finally, a formal sleep study is really the only way to get a definitive diagnosis and confirm that it's overlap syndrome. The number one treatment for sleep apnea is CPAP. It stands for Continuous Positive Airway Pressure. And really, it's just a small machine that sends a gentle, steady stream of air through a mask while you sleep. That constant pressure acts like an invisible support beam, an air splint that physically holds your airway open and stops it from collapsing. It prevents the problem before it can even start. And this right here is the most important takeaway from all of this. By treating the sleep apnea part of the equation with something like CPAP, you stop that whole cycle of oxygen deprivation right in its tracks. And that can bring a person's survival risk right back down to what it would be from just having COPD by itself. It completely neutralizes the danger of the overlap.
Now, before we wrap this up, it is really important to understand that this whole dangerous overlap idea, where untreated sleep apnea makes another condition so much worse, it doesn't just apply to COPD.
Yeah, scientists are finding similar high-risk overlaps with a bunch of other conditions. For patients with really severe asthma or pulmonary hypertension or even interstitial lung disease. Having untreated sleep apnea on top of that can also lead to worse symptoms and much poorer outcomes. It's a powerful reminder that anybody with a chronic lung condition should probably be asking questions about their sleep. So we'll end with this thought. For millions of people out there struggling with chronic lung disease, the fight for better health might not just be about what happens when they're awake. It really forces us to ask this critical question. Could the key to breathing better by day lie in how you breathe at night?
Thank you for watching the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video. We hope you sleep well and dream easy.